Call of Duty 3 was developed and published in 2006 by Activision, and it was also the first game in the Call of Duty series that transitioned the series from PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3 era. Now, hands down, I have to say this first and foremost to preface to give you a good understanding of the game as a whole. The game, as far as I've played in Call of Duties, and I've played, I think, all since Call of Duty 3 now. And Call of Duty 3's aesthetics and settings and environment are hands down the best you will find in any war game. In Call of Duty, at the very least. I think they do an extremely well job with orchestrating putting your characters into the middle and the front lines of an all-out world war. Okay, the story is centered around being in both sides. And while you get a good taste of the narrative on both sides, the story itself falls flat mostly. I mean, you have some talking sequences and you have some awesome cinematics, but ultimately this is a 6-hour run and gun. And it's a damn shame because, like I said, the aesthetics, the setting, and the environment, and that also adds into the graphics for the most part. I would say back in its time, all of that combined would be a 10 out of 10. Okay? Whenever Call of Duty 3 is focusing on putting you in the middle of a war, a world war, that's where it succeeds. Everywhere else in Call of Duty 3 falls flat and or average. The gameplay, while it's varied more than most Call of Duties, especially nowadays, it still retains the bland, average, repetitious gunplay. In the 6-hour campaign, you shoot guns about 5.5 hours of that at least. Otherwise, they do give you driving controls. You get to pilot a bunch of things, but the main problems I have is the average gameplay, the bare bones controls. There's not even any running. How do you not run in the middle of a world war? And not to mention, this was also the Call of Duty game that had the most implementation with the 6-axis feature for the PlayStation 3 controllers. And sometimes it would do perfectly. Other times, not so much. I think it was a bit confusing because at times they would say, okay, now spin your controller. Okay, you would do that. And then other times it would have you specifically have to hold it up and move it like that in order to like drive a car or something. And that sounds like a good premise on paper, but it can get sometimes confusing. And also, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're not going to remember to put your freaking controller up before turning. You're literally going to sit there doing this. And that's another thing, too, with the 6-axis, is they implemented that into the melee. So if you're getting shot at and you're tensing up and you're trying to find cover, one lean like this or the other way, and you're hitting the air, and it doesn't make any sense. I think for the most part they did a good job with the 6-axis implementation, but then the other parts were pretty poorly implemented and optimized. And as far as the story, like I said, the story's bare bones average, some talking cutscenes, some good cinematics, which that parallels into the aesthetics of the game and the setting. The writing was fine. I mean, everything outside of the setting and the aesthetics of this game is really just average. The story, the narrative, the characters, you get a taste of all of that, but that's just it. You just get a taste. They don't develop characters really. There are talking sequences, but you don't really care about them. You don't go through what they've been through. You don't really go through much except, okay, go here and then go here and plant the charge here and do this and do that. And it's all so much of last gen kind of stuff. And mind you, we're like 2 generations since then now. And if you have watched my newer reviews for all of these older releases, you'll see that I'm actually quite fair with really old games. Grand Theft Auto 4 I gave an 8, Saints Row 2 I gave a 7, Prince of Persia I gave a 4, but that was a 2008 version that shouldn't have existed. So all in all, for me, Call of Duty 3, if it got remastered for like today's graphics and today's hardware and today's engine, that would be phenomenal. I just hope if they ever were to do that, please rewrite everything else. I mean, the aesthetics and then the settings, 10 out of 10. But everything else, average, bare bones, or lower. So for me, Call of Duty 3 is a very hollow and average 6 out of 10. Thank you.